Hey everyone, today we're out here near Huntsville, Texas, and this right here next to me is the Chevy Colorado ZR2 Bison. At the moment, this is the most capable off-road pickup truck in General Motors' lineup in America. You can think of this as the direct competitor to the top-end trims of the all-new Jeep Gladiator, the top-end trims of the Toyota Tacoma, and in some ways, I guess an alternative to a Power Wagon or even a Ford Raptor, because at around $50,000, this is actually within the price range of some of those bigger truck options. This video is going to be a little bit shorter than normal because we do have a full video review on the ZR2 already on our channel. Now the Bison doesn't change too much of what the ZR2 was already good at. Instead, you can think of this as the ultimate accessory package that you can get from the factory. The ZR2 starts out at $43,995. The Bison package on top of it adds $5,750, giving us nearly $50,000 base price for the V6 engine. Chevy worked with American Expedition Vehicles to create the Bison package. This gives you extra protection for off-roading and of course a slightly different looks treatment up front and in the back. Just about everything here could be purchased aftermarket, but the benefit for buying the Bison package right from the factory is that the factory has installed all the parts so you don't have to aftermarket, and of course they're warranted and financed just like a regular ZR2. You can see some of the changes from the side profile. We get rock rails in the back and of course right there in the middle as well. These help protect the body when you're doing more serious rock climbing. And then we have some changes under the body that you can't see. We have improved skid plates versus the base ZR2. AEV replaces the aluminum skid plates that the ZR2 comes with thicker steel plates that are going to provide more armor, more protection, again if you're doing more serious rock crawling. But importantly, the Bison package does not change a few things about the ZR2. So we still have the same tires, the same suspension going on that we find in the regular ZR2 model. That's not too much of a problem because the ZR2 is already one of the most capable pickup trucks in America. One tweak you'll definitely notice from the side are these enlarged fender flares right here, even though the openings themselves have not become larger. The package is completed out back with some steel bumpers and then of course integrated tow hooks as well. Like the ZR2, the Bison is available with two different engines. We have a 3.6-liter V6 that is standard. It produces 308 horsepower and 275 pound-feet of torque. It's mated to a standard 8-speed automatic transmission, which is definitely a step above what we see in the Tacoma. Then we have this engine right here. It's the optional 2.8-liter turbo diesel. Power goes way down to 186, but torque goes up to 369. In the regular versions of the Colorado, the 2.8-liter diesel definitely seems to have a distinct overall fuel economy advantage. But when it comes to the ZR2 and the ZR2 Bison, the changes required to make this vehicle as off-road capable as it is really tend to mute those overall fuel economy advantages. And this engine is going to be a little bit more expensive, so keep that in mind. Out here at the off-road park, we have a pretty easy course, to be perfectly honest, set up. But we do have a decent number of mud holes and a lot of slick climbs that really highlight the fact that tires are very important for any off-road vehicle out there. A lot of folks really seem to forget that. You could take an excellent vehicle like this and you could put all-season tires on it and you would really hamper the off-road performance. So if you're going to buy a vehicle like the ZR2 or the Gladiator or the TRD Pro version of the Tacoma, remember that when it's time to change tires, you want to change tires that are at least as good as the vehicle came with in order to maintain the off-road performance of the vehicle that you've spent so much money on. One of the big differences between something like this ZR2 and, for instance, a Sierra AT4, also within the General Motors truck lineup, is that this has both a front and a rear locking differential. And you don't find the front locking differential in any of GM's other pickup trucks in America. But you will find those options in something like that Jeep Gladiator. That may not make too much difference in some situations, or not even necessarily the soupy mess that we're in right here, because we are in 4-low, we have decent traction with these mud tires, can very easily continue going on in this level muddy area right here. But if you end up on a steeper area, especially a muddy steeper area, then those locking differentials are going to have a big impact. For instance, as we get it going on here, you can tell this is really soupy. The truck is just sliding, going in a lot of different directions at the same time. That's really where you're going to find a big advantage in the tires that are on this particular truck. One of the other big benefits to the ZR2 is its overall more compact dimensions. This will simply fit places that you wouldn't be able to fit something like a Power Wagon or a Rebel or a Raptor or anything in that full-size truck category. That's one of the reasons that off-roaders seem to really love vehicles like this and of course the Toyota Tacoma, because they're just smaller out on the road. You'll really notice a big difference if you're cresting an incline because it's a lot easier to see over the hood. As you'd expect out of any of GM's latest off-road vehicles, we of course have hill descent control, but one thing that we don't see in here is progress control. Now that's not really too much of a problem for me because I always find progress control a little bit silly. Now again, a distinct advantage for the Bison, as we're going to take a look at this muddy incline right here, is definitely the locking front and rear differentials. because this is just going to climb through this mess right here an awful lot easier than just about anything else that has been on this course earlier. You can tell we're definitely slipping around a little bit. There's a little bit of wheel slip here and there, but this just glides right up this incline. If we accelerate a little bit to get some mud ejection from those tires, absolutely no problem climbing the hill. The nature of the Bison is a little bit interesting because obviously this was designed for rock crawling, but it was also designed to have a softer suspension than most other trims of the Colorado, and that does make it suitable for going a little bit faster out on rougher roads like this. On the downside, the softer suspension and of course the tire choice for this particular vehicle help reduce grip out on paved roads, so this is not going to handle as well on the school run as other versions of the Colorado. The Bison starts at $49,745. That is a $5,750 bump on top of the ZR2, but you do get all the changes that we're looking at right here, including the unique bumpers up front and in the back, the wheel flares, etc. In terms of overall value, the Bison package makes a pretty good argument for itself because getting these parts aftermarket and then having someone install them would definitely cost more than getting this package on the ZR2. Now, if you felt particularly handy and you were going to do these modifications yourself, then you could approach the price of this package, but the parts still wouldn't be warranted with the vehicle and it wouldn't come like this right off of the truck. Although I like the way the diesel drives off-road, I would actually skip it if my own money were on the line. The reason for that is that the 3.6-liter V6 is quieter and faster on-road, and the fuel economy difference is not huge when we're talking about daily driving this. Most folks that are going to buy this are also going to be driving it daily, and then they're going to be doing off-roading on the weekends. The 3.6 is perfectly fine for off-roading. The diesel may be a little bit more interesting because of its extra torque at those lower RPMs, but the gasoline engine is going to be just fine. And for the rest of the week that you're driving this on the school run, this is definitely going to be the better option, I think. Top competitors to the ZR2 Bison would obviously be the all-new Jeep Gladiator and, of course, the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro, an entry that's been around in America for a very long time. Unfortunately, the current generation Tacoma has been around for a very long time, and it just doesn't feel as fresh as the Colorado, even though the Colorado itself is not really a spring chicken. Even so, the Colorado, I think, is actually a little bit more modern feeling on the inside, and it certainly is more comfortable, especially in the driver's seat, than the Toyota Tacoma. Now, there are a ton of aftermarket accessories available for the Tacoma, perhaps a few more than you may find for your Chevy Colorado, but in a way that is the purpose of the Bison package, giving you all those off-road accessories and allowing you to just purchase them right with the vehicle in the first place. The TRD Pro is going to be right about this same price right here, but you aren't going to get the 8-speed automatic transmission. You aren't going to get the optional diesel engine if that's something that you're really interested in. And I have to say that I think that the Colorado looks a little bit more rugged as well. Now, versus something like the all-new Jeep Gladiator, that is a bit of a tricky comparison because I think the Gladiator and this ZR2 Bison are probably the most direct competitors. For the price tag of this model right here, again $49,745, you could get a base Gladiator Rubicon. It would be just a little bit less expensive. It would also have the front and rear lockers that we see in this particular model here. It would have a solid axle up front, solid axle in the back. It would also feel a little bit fresher because it is the newest design in this particular segment, and the cab is actually going to be more generously sized than we find right here. Now, while we're talking about cabs, one big point of differentiation is that the Gladiator's cab comes only in one size. And there are actually two different sizes of the cabs here for the ZR2. So you can make it a little bit more compact than the Gladiator, and that actually is going to mean that this will fit in places the Gladiator may not. The size of the cargo bed is a differentiator between the Colorado and the Gladiator because this is definitely deeper than what we find in the Jeep. And that means that depending on what you're going to try and put into the vehicle, this could be a little bit more accommodating. Now, when we're talking about cargo and towing ability, remember that the Bison package does drop down the overall capabilities of the Colorado, and that means that when you're comparing this to something like that Gladiator, the Gladiator will actually, generally speaking, tow more and have more payload ability right back there in the bed than this particular model. Although again, you can get Colorados that will beat certain versions of the Gladiator. Personally, I think if my money were on the line, I would probably pick the Gladiator over the ZR2. The main reasons for that would be the fresher interior, the fresher exterior, and the fact that you can remove the doors, the roof, that sort of thing in the Gladiator. Obviously, you can't do that here in the Colorado because this is a more traditional truck, not a Jeep that has been sort of truckified like we see in the Gladiator. The Gladiator will also tow a little bit more. Now, you should be warned that the Gladiator is brand new and it is likely going to be selling at higher prices overall than the ZR2 and the ZR2 Bison. So even though the base price of this at $49,745 is within the range of the Gladiator Rubicon, you may actually have troubles finding a Gladiator Rubicon for that price. Be sure and let me know what your pick would be down there in the comment section below. Would you choose this? Would you choose the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro? Or would you get yourself a Jeep Gladiator? As always, be sure and head over to facebook.com/AlexNauto so you can see what we're driving this week. And if you want to support this channel, click up there to the top of your screen. You'll be taken over to patreon.com. I'll see you next week.